The quantum distress beacon pierced through the darkness of space like a desperate whisper, its signal pattern unlike anything humanity had encountered in its centuries of space exploration. At the Terran Defense Command's primary monitoring station on Luna, Lieutenant Sarah Martinez stared at the cascading data streams with growing concern. The signal's complexity suggested an advanced civilization, but its erratic pulses spoke of desperation. "Commander Hayes, you need to see this," Sarah called out, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The signal's translation matrix was unlike any known alien communication protocol, yet it carried an unmistakable message. "Help." Commander James Hayes, a veteran of the Peacekeeper Fleet's First Contact Division, leaned over her station. His weathered face reflected the blue glow of the quantum displays as he studied the incoming data. 20 years of first contact experience had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now, every fiber of his being screamed that this was different. "Run it through the new quantum decoder," he ordered, his voice steady despite the tension building in his chest. "Something about this feels wrong." The decoder's algorithms worked through the complex signal patterns, gradually revealing fragments of a civilization's dying words. The Nexeri, as they called themselves, were facing extinction. Their message painted a picture of horror. Reality itself was unraveling around their homeworld, Nexus Prime. Their advanced quantum technology, once the pride of their species, had attracted something from beyond the veil of normal spacetime. Hayes didn't hesitate. He opened a secure channel to Fleet Admiral Chen at Terran Defense Command Headquarters in Geneva. Within minutes, the Admiral's holographic form materialized in the command center, her expression grave as Hayes briefed her on the situation. "A civilization capable of quantum communication technology is asking for our help," Hayes concluded. "Whatever they're facing, it's beyond their ability to handle, and if it can overwhelm their level of technology." Admiral Chen nodded, her mind already working through the implications. Humanity, despite its relatively recent emergence onto the galactic stage, had earned a reputation as survivors, as warriors who thrived in conditions that would break other species. They were called Deathworlders by the few alien civilizations they'd encountered, a name that spoke of both fear and respect. "Deploy the 7th Peacekeeper Fleet," Chen ordered after a moment of consideration. "The Nexeri's quantum technology level suggests they're at least a Type IO civilization. If something can threaten them, it could potentially threaten Earth as well. Better to face it on their world than ours." The next 48 hours were a blur of activity as the 7th Fleet prepared for deployment. 12 warships, each a masterpiece of human engineering and determination, began powering up their quantum drives. The flagship, TDF Hyperion, hummed with energy as Captain Alina Rodriguez reviewed the mission briefing in her quarters. Alina had earned her command through the crucible of the Mars Rebellion, where she demonstrated humanity's uncanny ability to adapt and overcome impossible odds. Now, as she studied the fragments of the Nexeri distress signal, she felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that preceded combat. "All ships report ready, Captain," her XO, Commander David Chen, reported through the ship's quantum comm. "The fleet is awaiting your order." Elena took one last look at the holographic display of Earth floating serenely below. Whatever they were about to face, they would face it with the full might and ingenuity of humanity behind them. "Signal the fleet," she commanded. "Quantum jump in 5 minutes. We're about to make history, either as saviors or as witnesses to something that could threaten everything we know." The quantum drives of 12 warships spooled up in perfect synchronization, their energy signatures creating a harmonic resonance that rippled through spacetime. Alina felt the familiar tingle as the Hyperion's quantum field enveloped the ship, preparing to tear a hole through the fabric of reality. "Jump in 3, 2, 1. Reality twisted, folded, and snapped as the 7th Fleet made the quantum leap toward Nexus Prime. As they emerged from the quantum tunnel, the scene that greeted them defied description. The Nexeri homeworld hung in space like a jewel, its surface a tapestry of advanced civilization. But something was wrong. Reality itself seemed to bend and distort around the planet, creating areas where space and time didn't quite line up correctly. Multiple quantum anomalies detected, the sensor officer reported, his voice tense. The distortions are increasing in frequency and intensity. Whatever's happening down there, it's getting worse. Elena studied the tactical display, her mind racing through possible scenarios. The Nexary's desperation made more sense now. Their world was being torn apart by forces that violated the fundamental laws of physics. "Launch quantum probes," she ordered. "Full spectrum analysis. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with before we commit to any action." As the probes streaked toward Nexus Prime, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to discover why the universe had evolved to fear humanity's particular brand of problem-solving. Whatever was threatening the Nexary, it was about to learn why Deathworlders were considered the galaxy's ultimate survivors. The probe's data began streaming in, painting a picture that made even Elena's seasoned crew fall silent. The quantum distortions weren't random. They were spreading in patterns that suggested intelligence, purpose. Something was systematically unraveling the fabric of reality around Nexus Prime, and the Nexary's desperate attempts to stop it had only made things worse. "Captain," Commander Chen's voice cut through the silence. "We're receiving a direct transmission from the surface. It's the Nexary High Command." Elena straightened in her command chair. This was it. First contact in the middle of what could be the greatest crisis either civilization had ever faced. "Put it through," she ordered. "Let's find out what humanity's first official act in this part of the galaxy is going to be." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being that looked nothing like the humanoid aliens of Earth's science fiction. The Nexary representative was a creature of crystalline symmetry and quantum states, its form shifting between possible configurations in a way that should have been impossible. "Defenders of Earth," the Nexary's translated voice resonated through the bridge. "You have answered our call when others fled. But we must warn you. What we face is beyond conventional warfare. We have opened something that should have remained closed, and now reality itself rebels against our existence." Elena shared a look with her command staff. This was exactly the kind of impossible situation that humans had evolved to face and overcome. Where other species saw hopeless odds, humanity saw challenges to be conquered. "That's why you called us," Elena responded, a grim smile forming on her face. "Because sometimes the impossible needs to meet humanity's stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Tell us everything. The 7th Fleet is here to remind the universe why they call us Deathworlders." The descent through Nexus Prime's atmosphere revealed the true extent of the catastrophe. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched from the Hyperion's command deck as reality literally fractured around them. The planet's surface was a maze of quantum distortions, where buildings existed in multiple states simultaneously and time flowed at different rates through fragmented spaces. "Quantum shields at maximum," Commander Chen reported, his voice tight as another reality wave washed over the fleet. "But these distortions are getting stronger. Whatever the Nexary did, it's accelerating." The Nexary High Command had established a secure quantum link with the Hyperion, their crystalline forms flickering with what Elena had learned to recognize as extreme agitation. Their chief scientist, a being who called itself Horizon of Infinite Thought, materialized in the ship's quantum projection chamber. "Your arrival is fortuitous," Horizon's translated voice resonated through the chamber. "But we fear even humanity's legendary resilience may not be enough to face what we have unleashed." Elena studied the alien scientist, noting how its quantum matrix seemed to flutter with what she interpreted as shame. "Tell us everything," she demanded. "No more half-truths. What exactly are we dealing with?" The story that emerged sent chills through even the most hardened members of her crew. The Nexary, in their quest for technological supremacy, had attempted to harness the fundamental forces that governed reality itself. They had created a quantum reactor capable of tapping into the underlying fabric of spacetime, believing they could control the very laws of physics. "We thought we could rewrite the universe's operating system," Horizon admitted, its crystalline form dimming with regret. But we were wrong. So terribly wrong. The quantum reactor had worked, but not in the way they had intended. Instead of giving them control over reality, it had attracted the attention of something that existed in the spaces between dimensions. The Nexari called them the Void Hunters, entities that fed on the coherence of reality itself, breaking down the barriers between possible states of existence. These Void Hunters, Alina pressed, can they be killed? Horizon's form shimmered with what might have been bitter amusement. Kill them. They aren't alive in any way we understand. They are mathematical anomalies given form, paradoxes that walk. Our weapons pass through them because they exist in quantum superposition, in all possible states simultaneously. The bridge crew exchanged glances. This was beyond anything in human military doctrine, beyond even the theoretical weapons they had developed. How do you fight an enemy that isn't bound by the laws of physics? Show me your quantum reactor, Alina demanded. If these entities were attracted to its activation, understanding how it works might be key to stopping them. The Nexari hesitated, their pride warring with their desperation. Our technology is sacred. No other species has ever been allowed to. Your technology is what got us into this mess. Alina cut in, her voice sharp with command. Your pride isn't worth the destruction of your entire civilization. Show us. Now. The journey to the Nexari's primary research facility was like navigating through a nightmare. Reality buckled and warped around them as their shuttles descended through the atmosphere. Buildings phased in and out of existence, and in some areas, time itself seemed to run backward. The facility itself was a marvel of quantum engineering, its architecture defying conventional physics even before the current crisis. But as they approached, Alina saw the corruption spreading through its perfect crystalline structures. The Void Hunters were drawn to complex quantum systems, and this place was like a beacon to them. There, Horizon indicated, leading them to a chamber that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The quantum paradigm engine, our greatest achievement, and perhaps our final mistake. Alina studied the massive device, her mind racing. Years of fighting in impossible situations had taught her that every enemy had a weakness, every problem had a solution. The challenge was finding it before reality completely unraveled. Commander Chen, she called over the quantum comm, get me everything we have on quantum entanglement warfare. And contact Admiral Chen. Tell her to send every quantum physicist Earth can spare. We're going to need them. As if in response to their presence, the reality distortions intensified. Through the facility's quantum-reinforced windows, Alina watched as a Void Hunter manifested, a being of pure mathematical impossibility, its form hurting the eyes of anyone who tried to look at it directly. How long? She asked Horizon, her eyes fixed on the horror outside. Before complete reality failure, at the current rate of degradation, less than 72 hours. Alina nodded, her jaw set with determination. 3 days to solve an impossible problem, to find a way to fight enemies that shouldn't exist, and to save a civilization that had nearly destroyed itself through its own hubris. Then we better get to work, she said, turning to her crew. Humanity didn't become Deathworlders by backing down from a challenge, even if that challenge is reality itself. As her team began setting up their equipment, Alina couldn't help but notice how the Nexari watched them. These primitive humans who dared to think they could succeed where an advanced quantum civilization had failed. But that was exactly why humanity had been called. Sometimes, the most elegant solution came not from advanced technology, but from the simple, brutal efficiency that had kept humanity alive on their deadly homeworld. The Void Hunters were about to learn why the galaxy feared the species that had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day of their existence. The question was whether that lesson would come in time to save the Nexari from their own pride. The quantum laboratory blazed with activity as human and Nexari scientists worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of extinction. Captain Alina Rodriguez watched as Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading quantum physicist, studied the holographic models of the Void Hunter's reality distortions. These patterns, Dr. Chen muttered, her eyes reflecting the swirling quantum data, they're not random. There's a logic to them, but it operates on principles we've never encountered before. The Hyperion sensors have been working overtime, gathering data on every interaction between the Void Hunters and normal spacetime. What they revealed was both fascinating and terrifying. The entities weren't simply destroying reality. They were rewriting it, turning ordered spacetime into something that followed their own alien mathematics. A violent tremor shook the facility, and through the quantum-reinforced windows, Elena watched as another section of the city shifted through multiple states of existence simultaneously. Buildings aged centuries in seconds, then reversed back to their original state, then existed in all states at once. Time's running out, Commander Chen reported, checking the latest sensor data. The reality distortions are spreading exponentially. We have maybe 48 hours before the cascade becomes irreversible. Elena nodded grimly. They had already attempted conventional weapons, everything from kinetic strikes to quantum-tipped warheads. Nothing had worked. The Void Hunters existed in quantum superposition, making them effectively immune to any weapon that operated within normal physics. What if we're thinking about this wrong? Elena said suddenly, watching as another Void Hunter phased through solid matter as if it didn't exist. We keep trying to fight them with physics, but they don't obey physics. We need to think like Deathworlders. Dr. Chen looked up from her calculations. What do you mean? On Earth, when an animal encounters a predator it can't outfight, it adapts. It changes its behavior, its hunting patterns, sometimes even its biology. Elena began pacing, her mind racing. We're trying to kill these things, but maybe we need to think about containing them instead. The idea sparked a flurry of activity. Human and Nexari scientists began collaborating on a new approach, combining Earth's practical problem-solving with the Nexari's advanced quantum technology. If they couldn't destroy the Void Hunters, perhaps they could trap them. Look at this, Horizon of Infinite Thought called out, its crystalline form vibrating with excitement. The Nexari scientist had been working with Dr. Chen on analyzing the quantum wake left by the Void Hunters' movements. They're not truly random. They follow paths of least quantum resistance, like water flowing downhill through reality itself. Elena leaned over the holographic display, her military training finding patterns in the chaos. Can we use that? Create some kind of quantum barrier. Better, Dr. Chen said, her fingers flying over the quantum interface. We can create a quantum maze, use their own nature against them. The plan came together quickly, a desperate gambit born of human intuition and Nexari technology. They would use modified versions of the Nexari's quantum reactors to create zones of controlled reality distortion, carefully calculated to guide the Void Hunters into carefully prepared traps. It's insane, one of the Nexari scientists commented, their crystalline form flickering with what might have been admiration. Using the very technology that caused this disaster to solve it. Only humans would think of something so paradoxical. Elena smiled grimly. That's why you called us. Sometimes the best solution is the one that seems crazy enough to work. The implementation was chaotic and dangerous. Teams of humans and Nexari worked to modify the quantum reactors while the Void Hunters continued their relentless assault on reality. Several times, teams had to evacuate as sections of the facility phased through different temporal states. First trap is online, Commander Chen reported, monitoring the quantum fields. Reading stable containment fields. Wait, something's wrong. The trap had worked too well. As the first Void Hunter was caught in the quantum maze, it began to react in ways they hadn't predicted. The entity's struggle against containment was creating new distortions, more violent than before. Shut it down, Elena ordered, but it was too late. The trapped Void Hunter had somehow linked with his brethren, and now all of them were responding to the threat. The very fabric of reality around Nexus Prime began to vibrate at frequencies that shouldn't have been possible. "This is it," Dr. Chen said quietly, staring at her readings. "The cascade is beginning. We have hours at most before reality completely breaks down." Elena watched as the sky above Nexus Prime turned into a kaleidoscope of impossible colors, time and space warping in ways that made her eyes hurt. They had tried to outsmart beings that existed beyond the laws of physics, and now they were out of options. Or were they? "Dr. Chen," Elena said slowly, an idea forming. The kind of desperate, impossible idea that had kept humanity alive on their deadly homeworld. "You said these entities exist in quantum superposition. They're in all states at once until observed, right?" "Yes, but what if we forced them to exist in a single state, not through technology, but through something more fundamental?" The quantum physicist's eyes widened as she understood what Elena was suggesting. "You want to use consciousness itself as a weapon. Force them to collapse into a single quantum state through directed observation. Can it be done?" Dr. Chen shared a look with Horizon. "Theoretically, yes, but it would require a massive coordinated effort, and whoever did it would be exposing their consciousness directly to entities that exist beyond normal spacetime. The psychological impact would be... Would it work? Maybe, probably, but Captain, it would be suicide." Elena looked out at the dying world, at the reality-warping horrors that threatened not just the Nexari, but potentially the entire galaxy. Then she thought of Earth, of humanity's long history of facing impossible odds and surviving. "Get me every psychic dampener and neural stabilizer we have," she ordered. "And contact the fleet. I need volunteers." Because that's what humans did. When physics failed, when technology wasn't enough, they fell back on the one thing that had never failed them: their absolutely insane determination to survive, no matter the cost. The preparation room hummed with nervous energy as 50 human volunteers were fitted with neural interfaces. Each device was a hybrid of human and Nexari technology, designed to amplify human consciousness while providing some measure of protection against the reality-warping effects of the Void Hunters. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood before them, her own neural interface gleaming against her temple. These weren't just soldiers anymore. They were about to become humanity's first line of defense against beings that existed beyond the comprehension of normal physics. "What we're about to attempt has never been done," Elena addressed the volunteers. "We're going to use the most fundamental aspect of human consciousness, our ability to collapse quantum possibilities into definite realities, as a weapon. The Nexari tried to fight these entities with technology. We're going to fight them with something they've never encountered: human stubbornness." Dr. Chen stepped forward, her face grave. "The neural interfaces will link your consciousness directly to quantum space. You'll be able to perceive the Void Hunters as they truly are, and through concentrated observation, potentially force them into a single state of existence. But the mental strain," she hesitated, "it will be beyond anything humans have ever experienced." "That's why we're Deathworlders," one of the volunteers called out, drawing grim chuckles from the others. "We specialize in surviving the impossible." The Nexari watched in fascination as the humans prepared themselves. To them, this plan was beyond reckless. It was practically suicide. Yet here were these primitive beings, ready to pit their very consciousness against entities that existed beyond normal spacetime. "The quantum reinforcement chambers are ready," Horizon announced, its crystalline form pulsing with what might have been concern. "They will help focus your combined consciousness into a coherent quantum field." "But Captain, are you certain about this?" Elena checked her neural interface one final time. "No, but certainty is a luxury we don't have right now. Sometimes, the only way forward is to do something so crazy that even reality itself doesn't know how to handle it." The volunteers were positioned in a circle within the quantum chamber, their neural interfaces synchronized to create a unified field of consciousness. Through the reinforced windows, they could see the Void Hunters approaching, their impossible forms now drawn to the concentrated quantum activity. "Remember your training." Dr. Chen's voice came through their neural links. "Don't try to understand what you're seeing. Focus only on forcing them into a single state of existence. Your minds working together will create a quantum observation field strong enough to collapse their wave functions. Elena took a deep breath as the neural interface activated fully. The world around her suddenly expanded into dimensions she had never known existed. She could see the Void Hunters now, not just as distortions in reality, but as they truly were, beings of pure quantum possibility, existing in all states simultaneously. The assault on their minds was immediate and overwhelming. Reality itself seemed to scream as human consciousness collided with entities that defied the very concept of fixed existence. Several volunteers cried out as their minds struggled to process what they were perceiving. "Hold the line," Elena commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. "This is what humanity does. We face the impossible, and we survive. Focus." Through their linked consciousness, Elena could feel her team's determination. It was like nothing she had ever experienced. 50 human minds, united in absolute defiance of the laws of physics themselves. They weren't just soldiers anymore. They were becoming something new, something that could stand against the impossible. The Void Hunters reacted to their presence, their forms writhing in ways that sent ripples through quantum space. They were aware of the humans now, aware of these beings that dared to try and force them into a single state of existence. "They're fighting back," someone shouted through the neural link. "It's like they're trying to rewrite our minds." Elena gritted her teeth as she felt the pressure building in her consciousness. The Void Hunters were attempting to force their own quantum nature onto the human observers, trying to make them exist in multiple states just as they did. But humans had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. Their minds had been forged in the crucible of Earth's harshest environments. They knew how to endure, how to adapt, how to survive. "Push back," Elena commanded. "We are the children of Earth. We evolved to survive everything a Deathworld could throw at us. These entities think they can break our minds. Show them what human determination really means." The quantum chamber blazed with energy as 50 human minds focused their combined will into a single purpose. The Void Hunters began to flicker, their multiple states of existence starting to collapse under the weight of human observation. "It's working." Dr. Chen's excited voice cut through their concentration. "The quantum field readings are stabilizing. They're being forced into single states." But the victory came at a terrible cost. Elena could feel the strain tearing at her mind, feel the other volunteers beginning to break under the pressure. Human consciousness was never meant to perceive reality at this level, never meant to force its will upon beings that existed beyond normal physics. Yet they held on. Because that's what humans did. They endured. They survived. They refused to accept defeat, even when reality itself seemed to be their enemy. Through the haze of quantum perception, Elena saw the first Void Hunter collapse into a single state of existence. Then another, and another. The entities that had terrified an advanced civilization were being forced into normal space-time by nothing more than human stubbornness and determination. "Don't stop," Elena commanded, even as she felt blood trickling from her nose. "We've got them on the run. Show them why the galaxy calls us Deathworlders." The battle for reality itself continued, with humanity's consciousness serving as both weapon and battlefield. And through it all, the Nexari watched in awe as these primitive beings from a deadly world proved that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe wasn't advanced technology or quantum physics. Sometimes it was simply the unbreakable will of a species that had evolved to never, ever give up. The quantum chamber had become a battlefield unlike any in human history. Blood trickled from the noses and ears of the human volunteers as they maintained their assault on reality itself. Captain Elena Rodriguez, her mind stretched to its breaking point, could feel victory within reach. But the Void Hunters had one final card to play. Energy spike. Dr. Chen's voice cut through their neural link. They're linking together, all of them, creating some kind of quantum superstructure. Through her enhanced perception, Elena watched as the remaining Void Hunters merged into a single entity, a being of such impossible complexity that even looking at it threatened to shatter her sanity. The neural interfaces screamed warnings as the combined consciousness of 50 humans struggled against this new threat. Multiple quantum breaches detected. Commander Chen reported from the Hyperion. Whatever they've become, it's tearing holes in space-time itself. If we don't stop it now, the damage will spread beyond Nexus Prime. Elena could feel her team weakening. The human mind was never meant to perceive reality at this level, never meant to comprehend beings that existed in all possible states simultaneously. But humanity hadn't survived on Earth by accepting limitations. "Listen to me," she broadcast through the neural link, her consciousness reaching out to every volunteer. "Earth evolved us to be survivors. Every predator, every natural disaster, every challenge we faced made us stronger. These entities think they can break us. Think again." Through their linked minds, Elena shared memories. The burning deserts of Earth, the crushing ocean depths, the frozen wastelands where humans had not just survived but thrived. Each memory was a reminder of humanity's greatest strength, their ability to adapt, to overcome, to survive. "Remarkable." Horizon's voice came through their comm system. "Your species, you're actually adapting to quantum perception in real time. Your minds are evolving even as you fight." The Nexari scientist was right. What had started as 50 separate human consciousnesses had become something more, a gestalt of human determination and will forged in the crucible of quantum combat. The neural interfaces were registering changes in their brainwave patterns, showing adaptation at a level that should have been impossible. "Captain," Dr. Chen's voice was urgent. "The quantum readings. I think I understand what we need to do. The Void Hunters exist in all states because they've never encountered a force strong enough to collapse their quantum wave function permanently. But if we could channel enough observed reality through the neural network, we could force them into a single state permanently." Elena finished. "But the amount of mental energy required would probably kill us," one of the volunteers said grimly. "But better us than the entire galaxy." Elena felt a surge of pride in her species. Even facing death, they thought of others. It was what made humans different. Not their technology or their strength, but their capacity for sacrifice. "New plan," she announced. "We're going to channel everything we have into one final push. Dr. Chen, can you reconfigure the quantum reactors to amplify our consciousness?" "Yes, but Captain, the human mind was never meant to handle that kind of power. The neural interfaces might not be able to protect you." "Doesn't matter. Do it." The Nexari watched in awe as the humans prepared for their final gambit. These beings from a deadly world were about to attempt something that defied their understanding of consciousness itself. "Quantum reactors at maximum," Dr. Chen reported. "Neural interfaces operating beyond safety limits. Whatever you're going to do it now." Elena reached out through the neural network, touching the minds of every volunteer. In that moment, they were more than individual humans. They were the combined will of a species that had evolved to never accept defeat. "For Earth," she broadcast. "For every world these things threaten. Push." 50 human minds, amplified by Nexari technology and driven by sheer determination, slammed their combined consciousness into the merged Void Hunters. Reality itself seemed to scream as human will collided with quantum impossibility. The entity fought back, trying to maintain its state of quantum superposition, but it had never encountered anything like this, the focused determination of beings who had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day of their existence. "Reality anchor points established," Dr. Chen shouted over the comm. "Quantum wave function is collapsing. My God, you're actually doing it." Through the haze of quantum perception, Elena watched as the impossible began to happen. The merged Void Hunters, beings that had existed in all possible states simultaneously, were being forced into a single state of existence. Their very nature was being rewritten by nothing more than human stubbornness and will. The cost was devastating. Neural interfaces overloaded, burning out as they tried to channel more power than they were ever designed to handle. Human minds stretched to their breaking point and beyond. But they held on because that's what humans did. They endured. They survived. They won. With a reality-shaking explosion of quantum energy, it was over. The Void Hunters, now locked into a single state of existence, began to dissolve as the laws of normal space-time reasserted themselves. Reality rushed back in to fill the spaces they had torn, healing the wounds in space-time itself. In the quantum chamber, Elena struggled to maintain consciousness as medical teams rushed in. Around her, other volunteers were in similar states, alive but changed forever by their experience. They had looked into the face of quantum impossibility and forced it to blink first. Did we? She managed to ask as a medical officer reached her. Did we win? Yes, Captain, the officer replied, tears in his eyes. Reality is stabilizing. The Void Hunters are gone. You did it. Humanity did it. In the days that followed, as the survivors recovered and Nexus Prime began to rebuild, the story of humanity's victory spread throughout the galaxy. The species from Earth, the Deathworlders who had dared to use consciousness itself as a weapon, had saved not just one civilization, but potentially the entire universe. The Nexeri, their pride tempered by gratitude and awe, established formal diplomatic relations with Earth. Their quantum technology, combined with humanity's unique adaptability, promised advances that neither species could have achieved alone. But more importantly, the galaxy had learned a crucial lesson, that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe wasn't advanced technology or impossible physics. Sometimes it was simply the unshakable determination of a species that had evolved on a world that had taught them to never, ever give up. Captain Elena Rodriguez, recovering in the Hyperion's medical bay, smiled as she read the reports. Humanity had faced the impossible and won, not through superior technology or advanced weapons, but through the very traits that had made them Deathworlders in the first place. Their ability to adapt, to endure, and to survive anything the universe threw at them.